Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. So, the topic today, first off, I want to wish you guys a wonderful Tuesday. I hope today has been amazing for you guys. Hope that, you guys took control of the day, and I hope that it really turned out to be a really good day. For me, today was a good day. A very insightful day, a day of reflection. And that's kind of what inspired this video, what inspired me to do this video. Because I know a lot of people are dealing with similar situations, right? There's a lot of people that deal with conflict within the workplace, and I have been dealing with conflict within the workplace, I feel like my whole life, okay? The frustrating thing about the work setting, right, is that it has become a place where if people don't like you or whatever the case may be, that's a reason for you to not have a job, to not be able to feed your kids, what have you. Meanwhile, there's a saying that goes around where my dad used to tell me all the time, I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to do my job, I'm here to do it well, and that's that, right? I have learned to take on that approach. Um, yes, I still deal with conflict. You guys know of a recent conflict that we're going to touch on today, and kind of again how I got to this place in understanding um you know office politics, right? Office politics is a big thing. And when anywhere you go, right, you're going to combat office politics. And that's something I've had to learn. I do not like playing games. I don't like, how can I say this? I'm a very honest person. So I don't really, and I don't have a lot of time for BS. That is like, I feel like my personality type. So for me to play these games, it's very meh. It's difficult in the sense that I don't want to play the game. However, I have had my entire life to practice on how to deal with women in the work, women, right? Deal with catty women. And I hate using that term, but that's what it is. There are a lot of women that I'm learning are very much mean girl, okay? And they don't leave a lot of room for a woman to kind of open up and blossom in front of them because they've got whatever they've got going on. I recognize that I'm a pretty woman. I recognize that I am perhaps, and I don't want to say this because I don't like to brag. The reality though is that when I pair myself as an individual against a lot of other women who are also individuals, a lot of these women do not compare. So the situations that I've been going through, I'm pretty, I'm young, and I'm black, I'm successful, right? Those four things really bother some people. Not all, but a lot of people that I come into contact with, I've noticed that they admire me, but they can't stand me at the same time. And that's like cool, whatever. Like that's their own prerogative. I also acknowledge these things occur within the workspace, within the workforce. And no matter where I go, I'm going to be dealing with these kinds of issues. Okay. So this situation just so happens that it has really boosted my lifestyle. Like I'm excited to do my taxes, right? For this year, I'm excited because I get to see how much money I actually made. I'm not excited because it's like the more money I make, now I actually owe, right? So I went from not owing a dime to now I owe money. And it's frustrating, okay? Uh but that's, more money, more problems. That's just how the game goes. So, with that being said, the place that I work at now was is it was like God, I would say a blessing. But I hate saying that term because I don't want to get it misconstrued with someone did me a favor. That's not what quite happened, right? I qualified for my position. I think I was one of the few who was qualified for the position, that interviewed for the position, and I got it. It just so happened that the pay in which they were offering was higher than every place I've ever worked. And so, as a result, and because I feel like, okay, I'm at a level, I'm starting to feel like I need more in all ways. I have multiple, streams of income. But I acknowledge when a job is treating me fairly, when the job is like saying, "Hey, look, we'll pay for your skills. We're not trying to get over on you or nothing stupid like that." I feel like there's a level of loyalty to the company that you like. In this case, this job is actually one that I actually wanted, not one that I had to take. Uh, it's a great company to work for. That's a fact. It's a no-brainer. And the pay is right. The compensation is there. Because of these three things, I know that whatever I'm dealing in the workplace is irrelevant in terms of conflict, in terms of dealing with other people. I'm in a position where I'm above other people, but I think it's set up to how initially I worked for a company where they were trying to establish the same thing. However, they didn't want to pay me the respect that I deserved, right? Or the pay that I earned or whatever, but they were trying to kind of set something up similar. Whereas here, I think they're kind of realizing, we'll see what happens moving forward, but they're kind of realizing that the way in which they set it up or relayed my position to other people, may or may not have benefited them, right? um so, with that being said, dealing with office politics, knowing that where I'm at, I have conflict. I'm not creating the conflict. I've never been one to start a problem. I can be petty at times, but for the most part, when I'm dealing with people that I don't really have any emotional attachment to, I don't, I'm really not, I don't engage. Really. I engage to say good morning. I engage when you talk to me. I engage if I need to talk to you. However, I'm not super social at work. Just is what it is. And I feel like a lot of people have a bias that they come into these workspaces with, especially when it comes to Black women. I think that a lot of people believe that Black women we don't know how to control ourselves, our anger, whatever, right? And so there's an extra level of poking, because people are trying to see a reaction, especially when people feel like you don't deserve to be in your seat. So keep in mind, I'm the only one that's not a manager that is getting paid the amount that I'm getting paid at the level that I'm getting paid. And that bothers some of these people. And I get it, right? I'm not judging them. Like, I get it. Like, if I felt like I was deserving of something and someone new comes in and I already kind of feel like they don't deserve it, I'm gonna have a feeling, I'm gonna feel a way about it too. right? So I'm not knocking their experiences, their own individual experiences. But when I'm at work and when I'm making my money, because I do have a family that I report to, that I love, that I take care of, I don't allow certain behaviors to get an arouse out of me, a negative arouse. So, dealing with the situation, I think I spoke on it in another video where a girl was kind of very so it's very interesting because I still don't quite I really genuinely do not understand why. Like even though folks have told me why and I know why, I really don't get why women put this much energy into not just women but people in general. Like they don't have levels of understanding to know when to pick your battles and when not to pick your battles and when to shut up and when not to shut up, right? So, situation occurs. Keep in mind, I work for a company that does not, my position, my title should say that I'm above. But I don't know that the education level is there to even understand what I do as a staff accountant, right? However, and I mean that with all sincerity because I am in blue collar, right? So you're dealing with folks of all backgrounds that don't necessarily have education behind them. I'm dealing with folks whose titles are not something that I would aspire to because I've worked hard to get to where I'm at. And the company has done a great job with not trying to like stick your nose up in the air and make others feel uncomfortable as it pertained to like hiring me on. But we're kind of crossing some roads and hopefully it doesn't keep getting pushed or the boundary doesn't keep getting pushed because it's only going to backfire. Hence bringing me to my title. Okay. For those of you guys who don't know, I was dealing with a situation where I had not said this, but I'm working with a woman who, for whatever reason, our personalities clash. Okay. Doesn't make her right, doesn't make me wrong, and vice versa, right? Even though, in your head, you probably have, I'm trying to be neutral here. With that being said, because this woman has a lot of influence within the company, other young women, and I say young women because I think the oldest is maybe 6 years younger than me, other young women tend to follow on the bandwagon. And it's so strange to me because I'm like, I'm the one that's getting paid. Like, but I also recognize, let's back up. I recognize that this woman has been with the company. Some of these folks have known this woman since she was very, very young, right? Since for many years, right? And so there's an emotional attachment. Folks are related to each other, husband and wife. And it creates a dynamic where folks are obviously attached to one another. Whereas I'm a stranger coming in and I want to be clear, I was hired for my personality. So I'm coming into this dynamic and I don't acquiesce to the dynamics at hand, right? I'm a grown woman. I am confident in my abilities and who I am, the things that I've built for myself. I don't need to have someone kind of, how can I say this? I don't need validation from anybody because my success demonstrates that. And I don't need to feel like I've got to, like, I'm not an ass kisser. I've always said this. I'm not the girl that's going to laugh at your jokes when you're not funny, right? I'm not the girl that's going to speak to you if I feel like I have nothing to say, right? Like, I will be cordial. I will say good morning. I will, ask you questions. I will be, if you ask me questions, yeah, I'm here to help. But outside of that, I'm just not your girl. Okay. So, with that being said, I have a girl who felt like she needed to challenge me. And it's so funny how I keep my demeanor and I watch other women lose their demeanor. And I'm looking at them like, but they try to flip it on me like it's me. So I had a situation. So before I get to that, back up. Because of my situation with this woman who I know has she's got seniority, right? She's been with the company for a while. She's valuable in her position because at the time she was the only one that knows how to do her job, and it made her kind of untouchable, right? She's everybody's family, she's an elder, right? Technically. Um and she's got rapport with everybody, right? Cool. Well, I had to learn. This is the thing. I think I remember my first coaching session where at first this woman made a complaint. It was, in my opinion, it was a frivolous complaint. uh I went to my boss. I told her what had happened between me and this woman. And my boss understood because in her mind she's like, I hired you for a specific reason, and this is what I believe to be true about you. Okay, I'm fairly new. I've only been in this company for about 2 3 months at the time. And so I remember right after that, my boss came to me. We had a coaching session, and she was just like, you could tell she had immediately switched sides, like immediately for whatever reason. I honestly think her hands were tied. That's what she was telling me, is like, look, my hands are tied. Because this woman, again, she's the only one who knows how to do her job. I didn't know how to do her job yet. And she's also the general manager's like wife, right? So I'm up against a pickle, right? So my boss is like, look, just try to learn whatever she's teaching you, learn it her way, like just learn it, right? That's all I need you to do is just learn her job. And so I said, okay, let me put my pride to the side. Let me put myself put it to the side, and let me do my best to learn from this woman. Well, fast forward, I've been with the company for 7 months, maybe almost, maybe eight. Okay. And I'm going through these motions, and there was a situation that happened, and let me be clear, because I know what I'm up against and I feel like, my voice should be heard. I felt like, dang, you just switched sides, and I really feel like this was it was an issue for nothing, right? I also realized I didn't have any value in terms of, like, I have value. Okay, the company said, you know what, we'll take you on. We'll invest this amount of money in you. Let's see how you do. Being that I'm with a company that's going to allow you to make a mistake and really grow from it, and they don't really, because there's a corporation involved, it's not like all of a sudden, we don't like you today, so we're going to fire you type stuff. There's more processes and procedures that have to take place prior to. So I told myself, I said, look, obviously there's politics here at play, because that's essentially what my boss was telling me without telling me. Let me learn this game, because I could say, you know what, I quit, but I may not get an opportunity like this, right? Maybe I know I'm supposed to be here because this is what I chose. This is what I wanted. this opportunity has has the ability to propel my career much further than any other opportunity that I've experienced or been in. So I'm like, okay, listen, there's these guidelines that protect you as an employee. Let me go ahead and give this a shot. Let me not be a hothead, because I can be a hothead too and bomb out of this situation. Let me figure out how to maneuver and navigate, meanwhile still being myself, because that's not up for negotiation. I got to be able to come to work and feel comfortable too, right? Knowing that I'm in a higher position, okay? So I also know my boss has to justify why I'm in this position. My boss has to justify why I'm getting paid the amount that I'm getting paid, right? And I've also got to learn how to navigate dynamics where I really don't have much power. I don't have much say at this time. So I started watching some YouTube videos on how to build my value within a company, or office politics, really. That's it. And one of the strategies to be able to overcome certain petty like things that I feel like I've been dealing with is really increasing my value within the company. And because I have a woman boss, right? And she's Caucasian and we communicate very similar, it's easier, I think, for me to relate. Like, even though she's not black, like, I don't need you to be black as long as you can relate to me. Like, if you could relate to the fact that I'm a single mom, that I'm out here, whatever, like, I need you to know. And this was the first, to be honest with you, this employer knew I had my business, like, knew that I had extra hustles, knew what my goals were. Like, they asked so many questions. I went through several rounds of interviews and they asked so many questions that I feel like this employer actually got to know me. So here we are 8 months later. And I said, okay, keep in mind, back up October, I was like, you know what? Part of increasing, how do I combat this woman? Because I don't have friendships here. I don't have history with these people here, right? I'm building those things, I'm building rapport. So, what is a way? Because I have to increase my value. That is a way in which, you can kind of combat politics. Hence why this woman was the only one who knew how to do her job. And to be fair, I mean, I don't, this is just speculation, based upon the information that I have, uh, has ran off many people in my position. So when I was hired, the conversation was, I need someone who is assertive, who is going to get the job done, basically stating that emotional intelligence was needed. Like, I need someone to come in and be able to do their thing, period. Right? Regardless. And I see it more now because I'm in the weeds. So I'm like, man, I understand what all the stuff they be talking about in my interview. I get it. I get it. So here we are, fast forward. I'm on this team. I've got a strong personality, right? I'm not an asshole. I don't need to be an ass. Some days I'm like, chill the fuck out. But for the most part, I'm not an asshole. Dealing with dynamics where I feel like folks just be hating on me, bro. This chick, I told you guys about how she came up to me. It was, you could tell she was trying to cause a problem over nothing. I'm already I'm always in problem solving mode. I don't have time to be going back and forth about he say, she say, none of that shit. And so for me, I called a spade, and the girl got mad, right? One of the biggest things was, the excuse that, hey, our system being down was a reason to just be goofing off and doing nothing. And I'm not like a goody two shoes or nothing, but I also know that 3 hours, 3.5 hours to respond to an email, that's a long time considering that you're sitting in front of your desk for majority of that time, right? And I get that if you had something to do, like if you were working, you were doing other things, but with the system being down, that's the only thing you had to do, right? So me stating that I should have had some sort of acknowledgement to that email, there was nothing wrong about that. That's actually professional. That's professional courtesy, especially when you're on a deadline, especially when you know that like things got to get done. Let folks know that you're paying attention, that you're aware of what's going on. That way things can be resolved in a timely fashion, right? I know that the other people on this email that I had sent out were busy, and I also know who wasn't busy because everybody's kind of in your face. You know what's going on, right? However, it wouldn't have mattered who responded as long as somebody responded. Like there's 5 people on this email. There's no reason it should have been taken personally. None. Everybody at this job, like I explained to my boss, everybody at this job has a complaint. Everybody has their opinions and everybody voices their opinions, whether they're negative or whether they're positive. So, me stating someone could have acknowledged my email, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's no, like, I'm not saying anything that's like absurd or super crazy or unheard of, right? So, the fact that I was told that I was unprofessional because I'm correcting this girl, and instead of taking heed, let's be clear, you don't get paid what I get paid, right? This girl don't get paid what I get paid. This girl don't even know how to do my job. If they put her in front of my computer and said do her job, the girl wouldn't know how to do it. So the reality of it is, if I would think that you would learn something from me, like, oh, okay, maybe that's why you getting paid a little bit more. Like learn something, right? Versus trying to be combative and trying to poke a bear that is not gonna ever give you the satisfaction ever. I'm too good for that. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. You can poke and prod and do whatever you want to do. It is what it is. So, of course, this got back when the girl told me. So, the girl felt the need because when I checked her on her excuse for why she felt like nobody answered to my email, and I just was like, no, that's not an excuse. The system being down is not an excuse. Like your email still works, bro. She decided that she was gonna whatever, bro, and like roll her eyes at me and shut me down. That is unprofessional. I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I said, hey, even a small, like, I got it, received, done, something would have helped. It would have been helpful, right? For the workflow process, to finding solutions, it would have helped. And she, no, bro, and like no girl or girl me or something. That's what she said, no girl, and like rolled her eyes like I'm stupid, like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? So I was like, I'm serious, like I'm just reiterating, like I'm only speaking the facts. Like you can dismiss me all you want, but this is what it is. The girl told me that I was being unprofessional. I didn't raise my voice. I did not curse. I did not say anything that was like a personal attack. I didn't attack at all, actually. I was just correcting. I was just giving my opinion as to how I felt like the situation should have been dealt with, especially when, like I told my boss, I said, man, I done already moved on from this conversation. I said what I said and I moved on. I went to go solve the problem. My boss even jumped in on the problem. So for me, it's like I done moved on. Why do you feel like you need to come into my space and then be like, hey, this is why everyone didn't respond to your email? That's like, to me, don't you have a job to do? Like, what the fuck are you doing in my cubby? Like, telling me way after the fact. Like we done moved on. We're now on point C, and you're still stuck on point A. You told me you couldn't help me. All right, cool. Let's move on. I don't understand that. And I told my boss, I said, I don't get it. I just kept it a buck with her. I said, I don't quite understand why you would move. To me, that you trying to attack, you trying to poke my buttons. And hell yeah, I'm gonna have this conversation with my boss. She gonna know exactly what I think. So just in case, she can see through this shit too. Right? So, anywho, one of the things that I've been really working on when we talk about increase our value, right? Because understand that these people have been there before me, and I'm the only one of my kind there. And I say my kind in terms of position, in terms of race, right? It's just me. Not they got other people that are black, but in on this team. And so I decided, because I know what I'm up against, I know I'm dealing with seniority, is to perfect my craft. That is the biggest thing, I promise you, that goes a long way, and it kind of outshines the negative, right? The difference with me is I've been trained on everybody's position. So I know how to do everybody's job, okay? And it, if I can perfect everybody's job, that increases my value. Do you understand? Especially when you're dealing with one person who nobody else knows how to do her job but me. So I have my main goal for the last few months was making sure that everything I got is correct. Like everything I do is correct, because I have certain kinds of access that don't require somebody to approve it before I move forward with it. And so accuracy is key. I learned that I'm learning, let's put it this way. My goal, because I'm also coming up on a performance review, and I want to raise, and I want to raise higher than what these other folks are claiming they got. Okay. Y'all know me, I'm very particular. I want a raise, right? And I want a decent raise that I can say, you know what, cool, I'll take that, right? I'll take it. So being that I'm making a decent amount, we ain't gonna go into that, but decent amount, I want to see my raise increase by a decent amount. And so I know that my performance review is coming up, not within the month or 2 months. I'm giving it a deadline. It's really my performance review is coming up in about 5 months. So in 5 months, I want to I want to hear nothing but, hey, you are doing amazing. You are helping me out. All of this stuff, because when I go, if I ever have to negotiate for my raise, I've got some sort of leverage, right? So that's one of my reasons why. But another reason why is so that I can rise above any sort of conflict that is coming my way. So when you have 100% accuracy, right, in your work, it builds trust within an employer. So when you're doing your job well, when I say well, I'm not going above and beyond. I'm just doing the job as they want it so that there's no question as to whether or not I can do the job. My situation is unique because, again, I've been trained on everybody's job. um and it makes especially with this one situation. This girl, I can do her job in my sleep. I may need my boss to maybe give me a little refreshers, right? Because it's been a while since I've stepped in and helped her. But I've kind of made it clear her job is not that difficult. I'm not about to step in and help and do all the work. I'm not doing that. I think my boss gets it. She knows that that's my thought process. So she tells me, hey, if you want to jump in and help, you can. Otherwise, she's got it. Cool. But the thing is, the more valuable you become within a corporation, company, whatever, the more likely it is. Like when I talked to my boss about this situation, my boss was kind of like, man, I am so sorry that I even have to bring this to you. Right. And I told her, I said, I already knew this was coming. I knew it. I said, I almost wanted to send out an email with both of y'all on it, but I was like, nah, let me let you bring it to me first. Right. My boss was like, well, I want to know your side of the story. I tell her my side of the story. She said, I had a feeling they were overreacting. She said, because I listen to you. She said, yeah, my door is closed, but I listen to you communicate with others. I listen to you when you're on the phone with our customers. She's super excited about the work that I'm doing, right? And the level of accuracy that the more work that I'm able to take on that she doesn't have to keep is better for her, right? And she's looking like, man, really? Like this shit's getting old. And I told her, what's crazy is I'm myself. And I was even cursing in the meeting, but that's because I was so annoyed. I'm so annoyed with folks hating on me. I don't be getting it. But it's cool. I told her, I said, this is the facts, and I went through this boom, boom, boom. This is my intent. This is what I was doing. This is where we got to. This is the outcome. And this is what happened on this girl's end, you know. But to call me unprofessional, and that's something I had to bring up because that is a way of tone policing Black women. She didn't have a reason to call me unprofessional. But she stated that thinking that if she said it loud enough, folks were going to jump on the bandwagon because she's been there longer, right? And she's friendly, right? Right? It didn't work. My boss was like, fuck that. Like, my boss got kids. Like, like she's a grown ass woman too. So she's looking at this shit like, bitch, okay. Like, you know what I mean? And she's like, listen, I don't want to have to bring it to you, but I got to do my due diligence because I got texts on this all day. I don't know who was texting, right? But when I told my boss the story, she said, "Oh, there were a lot of pieces missing from the conversation. So apparently this girl left bits and pieces out to try to make it seem like I was something I wasn't, or the conversation, however she tried to flip it, not understanding that, girl, if they was to let go of you tomorrow, they wouldn't miss a thing. I do most of her job already." Like, let's be clear. And I don't mean to say it like this, but because I've been showing and proving that, yes, I can do the work at the level that you need it to be done. You see what I'm saying? And not only am I doing my job, but I'm doing everybody's fucking job. And I can do it well, right? It takes me a little minute because, no offense, there's a lot of moving pieces and everything that I do, but I do it well. Let me catch on to the bandwagon. You gonna be like, So it was cool to see. I've always taken the high road, but I think to some degree, because I am who I am, I may have not had enough footing within the company yet, or the goal was to get me out or whatever, right? And or sometimes you're dealing with inexperienced managers. Okay. I know at H&R Block when I was there, first of all, they weren't paying me enough to stay and stick around with dealing with that shit. Okay. Then you're dealing with a manager who's younger than me, bro. He don't know nothing. It's a him. So you're a white boy, you're young, you don't know anything, you're influenced by the women around you. So if the women collectively gang up on me and be like, we don't like her, blah, 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 she's doing this and she's doing that, you're not going to be able to come to me and tell me that I need to do something about me because these folks are complaining about me. They ain't got shit to do with me. So I'm finally in a situation where the woman understands that. The woman understands, like, this girl, she told me, my boss told me today, she said, or yesterday, she said, I don't see you doing anything but wanting to come to work and do your job and go. She said, we ain't all got to like each other, but we got to respect each other, right? So the reality of it is, it's starting to get to a point where my boss is seeing through the little games these women are playing. And primarily because my value is a lot higher. You trained me, I'm trained in all of these people's job. And a lot of the stuff that I see is holding the business back. It holds the business back. So at any given time, I don't think that if I'm not engaging in the drama, I don't. There's a lot of drama that people try to put on me, but I'm not in it. You will never hear me say something stupid out of my mouth. I rather just be quiet. That's just who I am. And because I know that that is the goal, is to get me out of character, I make sure and double down on the fact that you will never see me out of character. You're not going to see me out of character because I know that's what your goal is. I'm not going to give you that kind of power. The fuck? So I'm going to take away what my kid is eating to please you? No. And I had to make that clear to my boss too. I was like, listen, I know that's what the intent is, but I don't give a damn. They can keep poking and prodding, they can keep telling you, but it's like I think my boss, when she hears me speak, she's hearing clarity. It's like I'm telling you the facts. I'm not telling you what my emotions are. I get annoyed because I hear it so much, but I also think, like, if this was an HR conversation, hell yeah, we're going to bring race into the mix because I do believe to some degree that folks have a hard time with seeing black women in elevated positions. And I'm younger than the woman that believes she deserves a raise. But it's like if I'm doing your job and my boss can justify all the work that I'm doing for the pay that I'm receiving, there's no way you're gonna fucking, I mean, no offense, they're minimizing that position by a long shot. So this girl always tells me, "Oh, Sierra, I would love it for you to take on my position." I'm thinking, bitch, I will never give up my title in my career to take on your position. Like, I don't say it, but I be thinking it like I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever, right? So I'm learning that quality work, right? And again, for me, it's been about like I'm gonna need to be compensated properly. I have to have a why to want to be there. Okay. Quality work increases your value within in a company. It actually increases your the trust, the amount of trust that a company has with you. Uh and so when you're dealing and you're up against people with seniority, people who are really intricately woven within a company, and this isn't a family, like I guess it probably started off that way, but it's not one of those companies where it's like, hey, we're all family here, because that's a red flag, right? But being that I am, and a corporation bought this company, and the corporation is wanting to see a change in the dynamics as in terms of how the company is ran, but while also, because you have a lot of people that were there before they bought the company, they've got to kind of ease the culture in, kind of deal, and it's, whatever, it's a process. But I do feel like when I heard my boss speak, I was like, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you overcome. I stay to myself, right? I'm respectful. I talk to people. Like, I don't pick and choose who I speak to because I do have a lot of work to do. Something my boss acknowledged finally, which was, your job is at a higher level. We're not expecting you to be sitting around chatting and socializing. Like, you have a job to do, and paying attention to detail is very important. So she told me one of the things she told one of the girls was, let her come in and do her job. That's all she's trying to do, bro. Let her do her job. Like, y'all, we're not here to be liked, and we don't need to all like each other. We don't all hang out after work. Like, it is what it is. Let her do her job. She's coming in, she's doing what I hired her to do. Let her fucking do it. So to see, because I got nothing but positive feedback in that meeting, and I was a little nervous because normally it ain't never. It's usually, well, I was a little nervous, but you could see the increased trust within me. Right. So now it's like, okay, Sierra, what really happened? So when she be coming to me and being like, okay, I want to hear your side story. She want to hear my side of the story because she know I'ma tell the truth. I tell you what I said, what she said, what he said. I don't give a fuck. I'ma let you know. So it was cool. It was a good little experience. But this is what I'm saying. Whenever you're dealing with conflict within the workplace, find a way to increase your value. Find out what the company needs, right? You're obviously hired because there's a need for you. Figure out how to do that and do it exceptionally well. Still be respectful. Like I say, I don't really talk to this girl no more because I'm sorry, y'all. Character is character, bro. Lying on me and for the boss to be like, man, there were some holes in her story. And then you just help put it all together, dot by dot. Yeah, that means you lied. That means you were being deceptive, right? Which tells me that you're really not a good person to like want to be cool with at all. But I still got to respect you enough to where it doesn't like show that I don't like you, right? So I got to be able to tell you good morning and everything else. So because it's been established, and hopefully by the work that I continue to do, it will be continued to be established that I am above on a certain level. And I appreciate having a boss like I do, for real, because again, I think where she's from has opened it has allowed her to see a lot more, which allows her to move in a more of a non-biased position as it pertains to me. But I think that I'm also doing the work to establish that credibility, right? So really working hard in this situation. It was a situation where there's no way, and I'm not super bubble, like I'm not super outgoing. I can be, but I'm not. So I'm not the girl that's, oh, I gotta be friends with everybody to move up. Like, that's not my personality. I could care less. I'm very much old school where I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money and go. Period. So to have a boss that sees through that shit, it's refreshing. Okay. And all I can do in return, I be wanting to say something, boy. I would tell y'all now, I be wanting to be mad because I don't get it. But it's not for me to get. I'm here to make my money. I'm here to do whatever I got to do to continue to elevate in my life. Like, the picture is so much bigger than them. And so it's been helpful, like I said, learning the office politics and saying, okay, where would I be most valued at? And then really working hard to achieve that level of value or human capital. That's what I was telling my boss. Shit, I'm here for it. That's the game. That's the way to play it. That's how you beat uh conflict, is by being the best at what it is that you do. Simple and plain. So that's all I got to say in the matter, y'all. I want to wish y'all the best. Thank you guys for tuning in. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.